Here we go, you guys. Welcome to the MMA Engine YouTube channel, and we are doing the first balls deep breakdown of the week right now. It was a fight that I hadn't looked into before today. Jack Shore versus Timur Valiev. This is going to be a great striker versus grappler matchup to break down here on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us here. If you have not subscribe to the channel yet, please do. We're going to have a lot of content coming your way from here on out. We got myself, we got DFS by the numbers. We already did the main event deep dive for UFC London coming up this Saturday earlier on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. Check out the link to that in the description of this video. You can also check out the link to the stats that you're going to be seeing in this video in the description of this video. You can click on that, download them for free. But we got a lot of work to do, you guys. Let's see what's up with you guys in the chat here before we start getting into this matchup. We got my guy John Kane in the room saying, I missed your last breakdown on MMA Engine, only caught last 5 minutes. Now I'm first comment. Ha ha, booyah. Yeah. That away, John. Thanks you for joining us. I appreciate it, man. This is a great fight to break down here. Total striker versus grappler matchup. And it's always good to get into the stats when we look at that kind of a stylistic fight, because takedown defense, the ability to push a wrestling heavy game plan, all these things are things that we have to see whether they check out or not for the grappler. And for the striker, we got to see if that takedown defense holds up. So great fight to break down, John. Thanks for hanging out with us here. We got my guy Chris for the Love MMA saying, Unk, you and Brady never quit. Salute. Look forward to the stats on this one. Sure is nothing for Timur striking, but can Timur keep the fight where he wants it? Been a lot of line movement. Yes, there has. You're right about everything that you said, brother. If this stays on the feet, I mean, there's not a lot of guys in the UFC that can handle Timur's striking. I mean, let's face it. The way that he just drowned Trevin Jones in his debut was fantastic. I mean, he got caught, but like that fight probably should have been stopped 3 or 4 different times. So really fantastic performance there in the stand-up for Timur. And then, in the Martin Day fight, he didn't even have to use it. He used his grappling in that one because he was at a serious size and length disadvantage in that fight. And then he comes back against Barcelos, and he almost got murdered in that second round, but he won a lot of stand-up exchanges with a great boxer like Barcelos. So, yeah, you do have to believe that Timur will be better on the feet here. Thanks for hanging out with us, Chris. Appreciate it. We got my guy Daz Files in the room saying, oi, best of British lads. And there are going to be a lot of British lads on this card. We got my guy DFS by the numbers saying yes. And he was on Pub Sports Radio earlier today with Clint on the Die Hard MMA podcast. If you haven't checked that out, check that out. I was watching that, had to make the dog wait a little extra long for a walk before I was done watching that. But great job, Brady. Nice work. Shout out Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast. And yeah, that was good to see you there, brother. We got my guys, Chronic Combat Conversations, in the room. If you haven't subscribed to their channel, checked out their content yet, they're doing some fantastic work, getting some great guests on their show. Most recently, Nate Manis and I believe Dan Tom. These guys are going to the wall, providing some great content. So check them out as well. Saying, I'm excited to hear what you think about this one. Been going back and forth. Yeah, it's not an easy one to pick, you guys. It's definitely not an easy one to pick. But that's why we got to go balls deep into the numbers here to see if we can find one way or another. And there are a few of these closely lined fights on these cards, and I always find the balls deep breakdowns are a little more valuable in those type of fights, because you don't need me to tell you that Topuria's got a good chance to win this week. So this is one where we got people on both sides of the fence here, and we got to really examine the numbers. And we got Paul Brassfield saying, oi, Big Unk, Parlay King checking in. We got the Parlay King in the room, parlaying shit up, stacking cash tickets like flapjacks. My man Paul Brassfield taking care of business. Thanks for joining us, brother. My guy Lou Betya in the room, one of the guys behind the scenes of the MMA Engine. When you see the website that we're going to be providing for you guys, it is this man who got the work done. And if it weren't for Lou Betya, this thing wouldn't even be happening. And it's saying it's been way too long since Weezy did a video on this channel. Dude, I've been slacking, man. I haven't done a video on this channel. Wow, yeah, for like I think it's been about 4 to 4.5 hours. So yeah, man. I mean, but hey, look, we work hard over here at the MMA Engine channel, and you won't see me slacking for that long of a period of time in the future. We're gonna keep working hard for you around the clock, 25-8 beasting like Corey Overtime Anderson up in this place. We got Tyler Waite saying, how you feel about Tapuria, Pavlovich, Makayev, Patty, McKenna, and Wood parlay, 200 for 900. So you're getting about 4.5 to 1 on that. And it is a 6-legger. Well, I'll tell you, Tyler, I have already a parlay for 2.2 units with Makayev and McKenna. Definitely love those picks. I think Tapuria's got a dangerous opponent in Jai Herbert, but if he goes to the grappling, he should be able to handle Jai fairly easily. In terms of Pavlovich, yeah, I mean, we haven't seen Pavlovich in a while, but it's really kind of hard to envision a scenario where Shamil Abdurakhimov comes out with a win in that one. Pavlovich is a unit. Patty, I think Kazula Vargas might be a bit of a hand-picked opponent, somebody that Patty can handle. I like Patty as well, and Wood. I need to do a little more research on that one, but Morales flying across the pond on short notice, handling a guy in Nathaniel Wood who has an excellent submission game, and we have seen some problems with his ground game in Morales. So I think that there's an avenue there for him, and I do still think that Wood, while being a little bit hittable on the feet, showed some really nice footwork in the Castaneda fight and showed that he can bounce around, be active and hard to hit, and only plant his feet when he's throwing and then get back out of there. I think he was showing a little more defensive responsibility in his more recent performances here. And I like all of those bets to cash. 4.5 to 1 sounds pretty good to me. I don't do more than 2 legs in a parlay when I'm tracking them, but I think all those guys should win, Tyler. So, and then we got Jeffrey saying, "Oh," and we got my guy Marcus Mustard in the Heezy. What's good, Marcus? Good to see you. Lou Betcha, the legend. Johnny Parsons. Holy shit, he's in the room. I'd smoke both of these fools. Yeah, he would, dude. He would definitely smoke both of these fools. Johnny Parsons, they take one look at that terrible haircut of his and they go running the other way. And Tyler Wade saying, "Oh shit, Johnny Parsons." Yeah, man. Only the best for you guys here on the MMA Engine YouTube channel. We have very low-level UFC fighters in the room chatting it up with us. Johnny Parsons, can't wait to see you back. I know he's got to be injured bad because nobody would ever back out of a Michael Gilmore fight in the UFC. So, yeah, good. Let's hope that Johnny heals up quick, gets back in there soon. We got my guy B in the room saying, "Oi, let's make money." John Kane saying, "Johnny the man Parsons." We got Tyler saying, "You see, Solomon got knocked the fuck out in his last fight. Y'all motherfuckers went to war." I didn't see Solomon got knocked out in his last one, man. Tyler Wade saying, "Good point there on Wood. Wasn't aware of Morales' long flight and short notice. Thanks so much, brother. Appreciate it." Yeah, dude, the original opponent for Wood was Ludovic Shalinian. So Shalinian just dropped out late last week. So Morales is taking this fight on about 8 days' notice, somewhere around there, making the long flight, all that stuff. So it's you got to feel that Wood, if he doesn't slip on a banana peel, should probably be better and win that fight. So yeah. And we got my guy, Flavor Blasted Butthole, in the room saying, "Yes, sir, Weezy. Huge card this weekend. Ready to cook Vegas to the bone. Let's cook Vegas to the bone like Bryce Mitchell cooked Edson Barbosa to the bone, my man." And Chris saying, "Uncle Weezy, love your humor and sarcasm. Always same page. I appreciate it, man." And let's get my guy, Smooth Jimmy Apollo, up here on the screen. We will see if the consummate professional is ready to share his stats with us, and we can figure out who is going to win this fight, who's going to win this UFC London undercard matchup here. This one didn't even make the main card. That's how good this card is. But yeah, Jack Shore versus Timur Valiev. Let me see what we got here. And like I say, always say, and I'll tell you over and over and over again, you can download these stats for free in the description of the video, you guys. So let's figure out where this fight is. It's along the bottom here. And we've got Shore and Valiev. So we'll start like we always do, you guys, with the measurables and then the experience and then the finish stats. And right now, we've got Jack Shore, still a very young man, you guys, 27 years old. He is 5 years younger than the 32-year-old Timur Valiev. He's going to have a 2-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage here. Both of these guys are orthodox fighters. We got artillery combat for Jack Shore and Jackson Wink for Timur Valiev. Now, Timur actually, I don't even think he's at Jackson Wink anymore, but sometimes Sherdog takes a while to update their screens. I do know that Timur Valiev was definitely training on the East Coast with guys like Frankie Edgar. So he might have been with the Laborio Jiu-Jitsu guy, or not Laborio. Oh Christ, I forgot. He fought in the UFC, and that was the guy who did Frankie Edgar's jiu-jitsu training, but the name is escaping me at the moment. But yeah, Timur Valiev does train on the East Coast, and Jack Shore out of artillery combat. He is a Welshman, and we got Timur Valiev originally from Russia. Timur Valiev has 6 more professional fights and about 100 more minutes in the pro cage and about 5.5 more years as a pro. But it's actually Jack Shore who has 1 more UFC level fight and 14 more minutes in the UFC cage. So we got Jack Shore being younger. He's bigger. And while Valiev has 6 more fights, he doesn't have that much more experience considering the fact that he's fought 5.5 more years. So in 6 years, Jack Shore has 15 fights. So he's been a very busy fighter, you guys. 2.5 fights per year, while we got for Timur Valiev less than 2 fights a year and an 11-year, 6-month career coming up with 25 fights. So if we look at how these guys are finishing fights, we see that Jack Shore is finishing 80% of his 15 wins. That's 12 of his 15 wins being inside the distance. And I think that that will be 8 by submission and 4 by knockout there. And Timur Valiev, not much of a finisher, you guys. In 18 professional wins, has 39% finish rate here. So that would be 0.6. So that would be 7 wins inside the distance. Probably 5 by knockout and 2 by submission. So, yeah, Valiev, not much of a finisher here. In Valiev's 2 losses, he's never been finished. And Jack Shore has never been finished because he's never lost. He is 15-0 as a professional. Timur Valiev is 18-2 with no draws and 1 no contest. But as I always like to say, you guys, I don't count no contests when the guy that you lose to gets a win taken away for smoking weed. As you guys know, weed is not a performance enhancer. I've said it before. I will say it again. If weed was a performance enhancer, I would be out on a yacht right now somewhere in the Pacific, banging a bunch of models on top of a pile of cash. So actually, if you think about it, Timur Valiev is 18-3, and he has been finished once inside the distance. It was Trevin Jones, and it was a nasty right hook. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox there. But yes, Jack Shore, the better finisher. Jack Shore, the bigger guy. But it's going to be Timur Valiev, who's fought a little more at the pro level, has a longer career. He's definitely fought the better level of competition on the aggregate. And yeah. So that's what we got the advantages here so far. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. And let's see. Lou Betya saying, please treat our guest, Mr. Parsons, right. He is a luminary of sports combat and definitely not me. Oh, no, he's definitely not you, Lou Betya. Nobody would ever accuse you of coming in here with a fake Johnny Parsons account and saying what's up to the chat. That just wouldn't happen here at the MMA Engine. We have a lot more integrity than that. And yes, and Chris finds it just as funny as I do. And Lou Betya saying Flavor Blasted Butthole might be my new favorite name here. You could have fooled Scooby himself, said Chris. And it's a great name. LOL, I died when I saw it the other week. So did I, man. And it just rolls off the tongue. Flavor Blasted Butthole. And Chris saying, kind of wondered what flavor, to be brutally honest, but there's no way I'll be finding out. Yeah, neither will I. Dr. Kendrick saying, Drew had me nervous last week. Good breakdown, though. Yeah, man. I mean, how could you not be nervous if you bet Drew Dober? But I'll tell you something that didn't make me nervous. I had 2 units on the fight doesn't go to decision at minus 200, and I had 1 unit on the under 2.5, which was a mistake line on Bovada. Shout out DFS by the numbers for getting me that bet. I got it at plus 170. So what I wasn't nervous about was when that fight looked like two Tasmanian devils going at it like 6 seconds after the fight started. I kind of laughed and thought that had to be like one of the easiest fight doesn't go to decision props that I've ever cashed in my life. Man, oh man, did those guys fucking throw down from second one until the fight ended. Definitely one of the fights of the year so far. I can't wait to see Terrence McKinney back in the cage. Shout out T-Rex 155. Dude, that dude is a G. I will be a fan for life. Absolutely love watching that dude fight. And let's talk about Drew Dober for a minute. My God, what a fucking chin that guy has. What a warrior he is. And the way that he trusts his chin so that he can bring those kind of fights for the fans. It was great matchmaking. Shout out to T-Rex for taking that fight, that very difficult fight, on less than 2 weeks' notice. Fantastic fight. One of the great fights of the year so far. Shout out to both of those warriors. Love to see them both back in action very soon. Great fight. Marcus Mustard saying, free the herb, make herb great again. Herb lives matter. I absolutely echo all three of those sentiments, Marcus Mustard. It doesn't fit, bro, said Bruce Bob Trotter. And then we got Herb Dean as the gold standard saying this. And a decent amount of absolute toss-up fights on this card. Yeah, man, how about the main event? How about Allen versus Hooker? There are a lot of closely lined fights on this card that you really kind of need to go into the extra level of the stats to find out what's going on there. Dr. Kendrick saying, well played. And we got Chris saying, just to think Walker Santos was minus 500, fight doesn't go to decision. And McKinney Dober was only half that day of the fight. I know, it's crazy, right? But that Walker Santos, Walker Santos was minus 500. Yeah, and that was a 5-round fight. So I saw that why that was so wide. And then we got the Silva Pereira fight that didn't go to that didn't finish inside the distance. That was absolutely crazy. I can't believe Bruno Silva's got that good of a chin, because Pereira was absolutely cracking him. Let's see. Tyler Waite saying, are we fading Carl Roberson until he gets cut? Homie crashed my second parlay. I was pissed. Yeah, I mean, Roberson, he hasn't been great thus far in the UFC, you know? And this actually, that was one fight I didn't even get to see yet. I had to run a couple errands, and I missed 2 fights. I missed 3. I missed Maverick versus Mazo. I missed the Roberson Roundtree fight, and I missed Brundage versus Lungiambula, which I heard was a banger. So I've still got when you do content like I do content, you guys, it's like as soon as those fights were over on Saturday night, it's a late night for me. I'm up until 3 a.m. starting to watch film for Stat Diggers, getting all the stats together for the show. So I don't even have time to watch those fights maybe until like the week off, when we finally get a week off, not this weekend, but after next weekend's card. So yeah, man, as far as Roberson goes, I wasn't betting him. I picked Roundtree to win, but I mean, like, Roundtree's not the kind of guy you can be really confident about either. There are 2 different Khalil Roundtrees, and you don't know which one's going to show up. But Roberson, I wasn't confident in him. I didn't bet him, so I mean, like, I'll probably be fading him in the future, but I don't know how much. I don't know how much he has left in the UFC. Bruce Bob Trotter saying, you missed my comment, bro. Yeah, I said I didn't know what it meant, though. It doesn't fit, bro, is what it said. So I'm not sure what that meant anyway. And then Herb Dean saying, what's the point of claiming you go 10 hard straight rounds in the gym every day if you gas in a fight? I don't know. And then we got Homer Head for sure. Oh, yeah, for sure, dude. Absolutely, man. I mean, that dude has got quite a chin, does Drew Dober. But the question is Jack Shore going to have a good enough chin to hold up on Timur Valiev here while this fight is on the feet? And we see that both of these guys are doing fantastic jobs with their striking ratios. Jack Shore landing 4.03 significant strikes a minute and absorbing less than half that at 1.51. He's got a 58.17% striking accuracy. He's never knocked anybody down, and he's showing a 66% striking defense over 4 UFC fights. Timur Valiev is landing 5.35 significant strikes per minute and only absorbing 2.79. So he's almost outlanding his opponents at a 2-to-1 ratio. But what's more impressive is the fact that he's throwing 9.71 and his opponents are only throwing 5.65 significant strike times per minute. So he's done a really nice job out-voluming his opponents on the feet, as has Shore, 6.93 and 4.43. So both of these guys are showing some pretty nice numbers in the striking. Timur Valiev has landed 1 knockdown in 3 UFC fights, but he's been knocked down, you guys, 3 times in 3 UFC fights. So that's very concerning. 103 significant strikes absorbed for Timur Valiev in 3 fights, but he's been knocked down 3 times. So we don't like to see that. However, Jack Shore in 4 UFC fights has never knocked anybody down. So in this case, what appears to be Timur's biggest weakness right now is a weakness that Jack Shore might not be the type of fighter to be able to exploit. But obviously, you guys, if we just look beyond the numbers here and we just look from what we see on tape, Timur Valiev's striking is way, way better than Jack Shore's. Shore will be the bigger, longer guy here, but when you watch Timur, he throws a ton of volume. He has a lot of variety. It seems like he never throws the same strike or the same combination twice in a fight. So he is very unpredictable. He's volume heavy, and he can win a lot of minutes on the feet just by throwing more offense than his opponents, by showing some pretty good defense, and by just putting a pace on his opponents that they can't handle. He was able to win minutes on the feet with somebody much bigger than him in Hani Barcelos, and a guy, that really does have legitimate power on the feet. So we did see Barcelos drop Valiev. We did see Trevin Jones drop Valiev. So, we know that Valiev can be hit, but the thing about Shore is that's really not his game. Jack Shore is going to try to grapple, and he uses his striking to set up his grappling. He pressures on the feet. He tries to walk his opponents down, and once he gets your back up against the cage, he'll throw a giant right hand and then fall into your hips on a takedown attempt. So he's using that striking to set up his grappling. But Valiev's fast. He's a small bantamweight. He's only 5'6". He only has a 67-inch reach, but he's fast, and he's got great footwork, and he switches stances sometimes as well. So you do see him. He's in, out. He's left, right. He's circling. He's not going to be the kind of guy that you can kind of just walk down, get his back up against the cage, and then start grappling him. So I think that Shore is going to have to work a little bit harder than he has in the past in the UFC in order to kind of cut off the cage and trap Valiev and find ways to enter without getting truly irresponsible or without shooting from too far out. But Timur Valiev will throw more strikes. He'll land the more powerful strikes. He'll be throwing more volume. He'll be throwing with more variety. He'll be switching stances. And, the fact that he throws with so much variety, he'll probably be landing the more eye-catching strikes. But the question that we have to ask ourselves is, what percentage of this fight is going to be taking place at striking distance? Because Jack Shore's fights take place at grappling range more than half the time, but that's not the case for Timur Valiev. So let's get into these grappling numbers, you guys. So in 4 UFC fights, Jack Shore has attempted 36 takedowns, 9 takedown attempts per fight, and he's getting them at over a 40% clip, which is excellent. 15 completed takedowns in 4 fights. That averages out to 4.47 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's averaging 43.08% control time over a 4-fight sample size. So if we were to look at that, we would say that that is about 21 to 22 minutes of his 50 minutes of cage time has been spent in control time positions. And we also note that Jack Shore here has had 10 takedowns shot against him in the UFC and has never yielded a takedown. So Jack Shore is a master of using his striking to set up his grappling and then using his grappling to win minutes and bank rounds and win fights. Now, whether he uses that grappling to wear on you and get a submission, or whether he just uses it to wear on you to win 3 rounds, that's what he does. The striking is just the means to set up the grappling. Once he's in on the grappling, that's when he's winning minutes. That's when he's trying to end fights. That's when he's drowning his opponent. That's when Jack Shore is at his most comfortable and his hapless opponents are at their least comfortable, you guys. So look at that. 41% takedown accuracy, 100% takedown defense, and he's averaging out controlling his opponents at about a 3.5 to 1 ratio while he's in the UFC cage. Now, Timur Valiev has shot 12 takedowns in 3 fights, so that's 4 takedown attempts per fight. He's getting them at a respectable rate, 33.33%. He's averaging over 1.5 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's doing an excellent job of out controlling his opponents. And as a matter of fact, he's out controlling his opponents at a better ratio than Timur Valiev is here. So we see a 32.5% takedown or control time accuracy for Valiev, and he only has yielded 6.5% takedown, control time against. So 39% of Timur Valiev's fights are taking place at grappling range, 61% at striking range. Now, if Valiev really wants to cruise in this fight, he's going to want to spend a little more than 60% of the fight at striking range. The higher percentage of this fight that takes place at striking range, the better the Timur Valiev should do. But what we can see right here, you guys, in the grappling numbers is that as great as Jack Shore has been in the grappling exchanges, Timur Valiev is also using his grappling game in order to win minutes and bank rounds. And the best example of that is the Martin Day fight. So, you got to understand why Timur Valiev is a favorite here. He's by far the better striker, and nobody's really disputing that. But on the ground, Timur Valiev has been very good at being able to win minutes there as well. And when he's not comfortable on the feet, he was very comfortable using his wrestling to win minutes and bank rounds. Did so beautifully against Martin Day. So Jack Shore is not the only one that can do that. But it's important to note Jack Shore, showing that 100% takedown defense, has done a great job of not letting his opponents win minutes on the ground against him. So, but he has given up a couple of reverses, I think, in his UFC career. So Jack Shore should be the better grappler here. He should be the guy that goes to the grappling more often. And if we've watched the tape on Jack Shore, he should be the one, if we're predicting which one is going to be the first one to shoot a takedown here, it should be Jack Shore. So I'm going to call Jack Shore the better grappler here. I'm going to say that he has a good chance to win minutes in the grappling, but we've only seen Timur Valiev face 2 takedown attempts in 3 UFC fights. He has yielded 1 takedown and he's yielded 6.53% control time. So in that 12 minutes of, in the 37 minutes that he's been in the cage, 3.7 would be 10%. So just a little bit more than 2 minutes he was controlled on 1 completed takedown. So if Jack Shore gets takedowns, he can absolutely win minutes and potentially win rounds depending on how much control time he gets off the takedowns. However, unfortunately, if you just watch the UFC footage, we don't know too much about Timur Valiev's takedown defense. I've seen him taken down on the regional scene in PFL, but he seems to hop right back up when it does happen. But once again, didn't see a lot of takedown attempts. So this is going to be something that Timur Valiev will obviously be expecting from Jack Shore, though. And since he's training with guys like Frankie the Answer Edgar, you do know that he's going to probably be ready for the type of takedowns that Jack Shore is going to bring here. So while I think Jack Shore is the better grappler, I don't think Jack Shore is that much better of a grappler than Timur Valiev in comparison to how much better of a striker Timur Valiev is in comparison to Jack Shore. So when I talk about, like, let's say Valiev's striking is an 8 and Shore's is a 4, like the grappling isn't that big of a difference here. I would say Jack Shore's like an 8 or a 9, the way that he uses his grappling to win fights in the UFC. He absolutely, he depends on winning control time positions and landing his strikes when in those control time positions to set up submissions and win fights. That's how he does it. So I would say his grappling is like an 8 or a 9, but we've seen a guy like Valiev say, you know what? Martin Day's a little bit big. He's long. He's a very comfortable striker. So I'm going to make him uncomfortable. I'm going to take him down. I'm going to use my grappling to win minutes here. And we've seen Valiev do that. So, while I'd put Shore's grappling at like an 8 or a 9, I'd probably say Valiev's is about a 7, 7.5, 8, maybe even, because we just don't know enough about the takedown defense, because we haven't seen opponents really kind of spam takedown attempts against him like we're going to see Jack Shore do in this fight, you guys. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Dr. Kendrick asking me how I feel about Paul Craig. I have a huge bet, you guys, on the fight doesn't go to decision for Paul Craig versus Nikita Krylov. Both of those guys are great finishers. Craig's been finished in 100% of his losses, and I think that Krylov's been finished, I think, in 75% of his losses. I think Craig's grappling will come into play here, and I think it's going to be a very close fight, but Paul Craig is so dangerous on the ground. I've got a 3.75 unit bet on the fight doesn't go to decision at minus 186. And the reason I made that bet is because I'm having a hard time deciding who's going to win this fight, but I feel like whoever wins it is going to finish. But I'm a huge fan of Paul Craig. Can't wait to see him fight Dr. Kendrick. And Herb Dean is the gold standard, saying Jack Shore is too slow for this guy, on the feet especially. And this fight is a lock to go to decision. Yeah, well, I mean, nothing's a lock, but the bookies are all over that one, Herb Dean. That's for sure. They like this fight to go to decision as well. And I agree with you. Chris saying you hit the nail on the head on Timur's striking. No one could have said it any better. I'm high on Timur, thinking hitting the money line now that it's closer to even. Have him at minus 175 in an older placed parlay. Yeah, that's the thing, and we're going to get to it here, Chris. What's very important here, you guys, is the strength of schedule. Hang on, let me just cough here. Excuse me. Let me just get some water. I've been running my mouth a lot, you guys, in the last 24 hours. I'll tell you that. Anyway, this line has moved quite a bit, and there's quite a bit more value right now on Timur than there was early in the week. But what's really kind of putting me on Timur here is when we look at the wins, you guys, when we look at who these guys are fighting. Chris for the Love saying Shore likes to pressure and grapple heavily. I'm just seeing the value now on the line if it keeps closing for Timur. Absolutely. I don't think he'll try to grapple Shore at all. He knows Shore can't hurt him on the feet. He should just focus takedown defense and strike as much as possible, and I couldn't agree more. Mark is saying, Frankie the Answer, Edgar is a beast and a legend. Absolutely, Marcus. And DFS by the number saying, good point there. Yeah, thank you. And thank Chris, because Chris is making excellent points as well. And Jack impressed me last time out, said Dr. Kendrick. Yeah, man, Jack impresses me every time out. I love what he does. I love people that fight like Jack Shore. He's got very good fight IQ. At DFS by the numbers, I don't know how much it'll help Valiev, though. Wood should succeed with his wrestling. Yeah, Wood should be using his wrestling. Vince Morales was an Idaho State champion, though, so he does have a wrestling background, and he does have a pretty good get-up game. His takedown defense, I believe, is only 50%, but he's got a good get-up game. But, man, Wood is really nice with those submissions. Daz File saying, have to love Paul Craig, Scottish Hulk. Yeah, I mean, how could you not love Paul Craig? When has that guy ever been in a boring fight? I mean, if you're just a fan of the UFC, mixed martial arts in general, Paul Craig is very hard to dislike. I think the guy's awesome. And I'm a huge, I mean, like Nikita Krylov too. I mean, how great of a fight is that? I mean, Krylov's been doing this forever, like since he was like 20. And this guy's a great finisher. Action-packed fights from way back in the day, Krylov. So it's great matchmaking. It's a fantastic fight. Fan of both of those guys. Marcus saying, oh, my bad, Shore, not Wood. Oh, yeah, well, Shore will be wrestling. Absolutely, Marcus. And my guy, the Cuban assassin in the room, saying, Weezy, I think hometown cooking comes into play whenever a fighter is from anywhere around London. That crowd will be loud, and those judges will be cooked. I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. It's something you have to really pay attention to. And yes, so when we look at the strength of schedule numbers here, you guys, this is important. So Jack Shore, the average record of a Jack Shore opponent in 4 UFC fights, you guys, is less than 1 win and 1 loss. 3/4 of a win, 1 loss, 1.75 total fights, a ratio of 0.75. Timur Valiev is fighting guys that have about twice as much UFC experience, but still UFC inexperienced on the aggregate. 2 wins, 1.33 losses, with double the ratio of Jack Shore at 1.5 to 1. And then the average guy that Timur Valiev is beating has a 2.5 and 2 record with 4.5 total fights and a 1.25 ratio, while for Jack Shore, it's less than 1 win, 1 loss with a 0.75 ratio. So we see Jack Shore's wins in the UFC. Nolan Hernandez, Aaron Phillips, Hunter Azure, and Ludovic Shalinian. So the highest level win there is definitely Hunter Azure, and that fight was a very, very close fight. Hunter gave him a really good fight, and Hunter is an excellent wrestler in his own right. So that makes sense that would be Jack Shore's toughest, fight in the UFC, is a guy who is a much better wrestler than Hernandez, Phillips, and Shalinian. So Timur Valiev's wrestling on the level of Hunter Azure's? I don't know. That's a very good question, but I do know that it's probably in the same ballpark here, and that I would rate Valiev's wrestling higher than Nohelin Hernandez's for sure, higher than Aaron Phillips's for sure, and definitely right in the same neighborhood, if not better than Shalinian's, who's pretty good as well. So, and then Valiev is beaten Hani Barcelos, even though how that fight wasn't a draw, I have no idea. Barcelos nearly killed him. He easily 10-8'd him in the second round, and the rounds 1 and 3 were razor close. So Timur Valiev was very lucky to get a win there. He fought a very smart fight against Martin Day, and he was really unlucky to lose that fight to Trevin Jones, but he did get knocked out by Trevin Jones. That was a loss. And then, before there, we got some fights in PFL and other places. So let's kind of look here. Jack Shore, pre-UFC, was fighting in Cage Warriors, has a win over 6-1 Scott Malone, a win over 7-0 Mike Ekundayo, a win over 3-2 Wesley Maya, a win over UFC veteran Vaughn Lee, who was 14-13 at the time, a win over Aitan Depop, 7-0, a win over Mattia Galbayati, 3-2, Kanman Day, 8-3, and Alexandros Herolimatos. What a beautiful Greek name that is. Alexandros Herolimatos. Beautiful. And then Eddie God, they are putting me through it today with the names. Pabavanes, 3-1. Kroll, 2-0. Tyler Thomas, 2-9. And this is going back to 2016. So, but obviously we can see here that he has been fighting, really good regional scene competition here in a high-level regional scene promotion like Cage Warriors. So that's Jack Shore. And then if we look at Timur Valiev, who's 18-3, Timur has wins over Barcelos Day and lost to Jones here. And then it's a Costa, 15-5 in GFC. Giovanni Da Silva, 18-3 in GFC. Bekbulat Magomedov, 19-3. Dude's a stud. Max Koga, 19-4. Jose Naldo Silva, 25-5. Back-to-back fights against Gutierrez. Very close split decision loss that a lot of people thought that he won. And then a unanimous decision win against Gutierrez. And then before that, Tito Jones, Ed West, who's been around. Isaiah Chapman, 6-1. Aquaviva, 1-0. So definitely some really good promotions here going back to 2014, fighting in high-quality regional scene promotions like the World Series of Fighting, like PFL, like GFC. So yes, Valiev has fought the better competition, I would say, on the whole here. So I would give the strength of schedule advantage here to Timur Valiev as well. So, if I'm on the Shore side, I really think that he's got to get takedowns in every round, and that he's got to, rack up at least 60 to 90 seconds of control time from one of these takedowns, and then be competitive on the feet, win some exchanges on the feet, so that it's not just one-way traffic on the feet here. But Timur Valiev is going to expect this game plan, and I truly believe that the takedown defense, working with the quality opponents that he works with, is going to be enough to keep this fight at striking range long enough to put that volume on Shore to where he can win the striking exchanges and win a greasy decision here. But I do think that this is going to be dirty. I think that Shore will use his striking to set up his entries on his takedowns, and even if he's not successful, that he could make it a very greasy, very close fight. So I wouldn't go heavy on Valiev here at minus 175. That would have been way too much for me. But at the moment right now, you guys, we got Timur Valiev, and let me just refresh the page here to get the best line that we can. So we're seeing the best line that we can find on Valiev is minus 140. And the best that we can find on Jack Shore is plus 125. The fight doesn't go to decision, courtesy of Bet Online, is plus 180. So the fight goes is minus 220. So the bookies are saying that this thing probably goes to decision almost 70% of the time, 7 out of 10 fights. So, they are expecting a decision win from either one of these guys. So maybe if you're on the Shore side, but you're like, man, plus 125 is just not enough for me, maybe we can get that bumped up on Shore by decision. A lot cheekier, you guys, plus 235, plus 245. That's a way to get some value on Jack Tank Shore here. The inside the distance line on Shore is between plus 350 and plus 400, which is about what it is for Valiev. So according to the bookies, even though Valiev is a nice little favorite here, a 60% favorite, they think that Valiev's got about the same amount of chance to finish the fight inside the distance as Shore does. So that's an interesting little thing there, because I would actually say that maybe Valiev has a better chance to win inside the distance, but Shore's got a better career finish rate. I just think Shore's going to have a hard time getting Valiev to the ground. But yeah, the inside the distance props are similar for both guys, and Jack Shore by decision between around plus 240. Timur Valiev by decision is just a little bit better than plus money here, you guys. At plus 115 on Bet Online, plus 135 on 5 Dimes. I'm probably going to stay away from that. The third round props are kind of juicy because both of these guys put a pace on. So we've seen Shore get a second round finish in the UFC. We've seen him get a third round finish in the UFC. And as far as Timur Valiev goes, we see a round 1 stoppage here. We see a round 2 stoppage, but that was in the loss. Round 1 against Ed West, round 3 against Aquaviva, and then 3 other round 1s. So he's more of a quick finisher. So yeah, these time props aren't really that interesting to me, you guys. I think the best bet, that the one that sticks out the most, is if you think Jack Shore can win enough minutes on the ground. I think the decision prop on Jack Shore at better than plus 240 is intriguing. But I think Timur Valiev is going to win this fight. But I think it's going to be a greasy fight. I think Timur Valiev, well, I don't think he is. I know he's Russian, and I know that Jack Shore is Welsh. So if we're looking for a fight that's going to go to decision, you got to feel like, man, I'd hate to be holding, even though the Valiev ticket, he probably wins the minutes. You're paying juice, and he's not in a friendly country to him right now. And you got the hometown boy across from him that might be getting love from the judges. So I think Shore by decision at plus 240 is interesting. But I still think that, you guys, my pick is going to be Timur Valiev to win this one by a volume-based striking decision while he holds off the takedown attempts keeps this fight at striking range about 75% of the time, lands more volume, lands the bigger shots, lands the more wow shots, and wins a greasy decision here. But that's what I'm going to leave you guys with, you guys. If you guys haven't subscribed to the MMA Engine channel yet, what are you waiting for? We got a lot of great content. We already did the main event deep dive earlier today where Brady and I broke down the main event of UFC London, Aspinall versus Volkov for about 45 minutes before he went on the Die Hard MMA podcast. Check that out. The description of that is the link to that is in the description of this video. And then we will be seeing you guys later on this week, where I know Brady will be doing some DraftKings content like he always does for the MMA Engine channel. And on Friday, we will be doing the happy hour with Monk and Lou. You guys, it's getting late. I'm getting tongue-tied. It's about almost 11 o'clock Central Time here. Thank you all for hanging out with us here. Let me just see what you guys are saying here in the chat before we roll. Dazfile saying Shore sub plus 500. Man, that'd be something else if he subbed Timur Valiev, man. That would be really wild. But Timur Valiev's never been subbed in his over 20 professional fights, so that would be a first. But that's juicy at plus 500 because we know how Shore likes those rear naked chokes. Chris saying, good call. Yeah, my parlay of early with Timur is the Hail Mary of last card in this one. Good point. Maybe I'll take a little stab at Timur by decision. I think that's his best path, but there's just not a lot of meat on that bone, unfortunately, because he's already juiced at like minus 140. Take care, Unc, an MMA fan. You take care as well, Chris. Good to see you. And DFS by the number saying MMA Engine is taking over, and just wait till you see you guys what this website looks like. Lou Betya working really hard behind the scenes, but he's tearing shit up behind the scenes as well, man. And I can't wait for you guys to see what we have in store for you. Marcus saying thanks, y'all, and Chris saying, and as always, thank you for your hard work, and thank you for your attention and coming to the MMA Engine YouTube channel, checking out the content that we got for you guys. Ilmax saying thanks for your hard work, Weezy. See you later. We'll see all you guys later in the week. I will be right back on my channel tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Central Time, to break down all 13 fights on this UFC London card from a statistical perspective. Of course, that's just the tip with me, your host, Uncle Weezy, and I will finish like I always do with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. There are so many great choices to choose from this week. I'll give you what I think is the best one. God bless each and every one of you guys for spending your Monday night with the MMA Engine YouTube channel. I will see you guys tomorrow night on my channel for Just the Tip. Uncertainty saying thanks, Uncle Weezy. Thanks for hanging out, Uncertainty. And I will see you guys soon. Talk to you tomorrow. And let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC London, guys. Good night.